Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Sports Talk with Coach Sywenky. I'm your coach, Kevin Sywenky, Lloydminster product, Lloydminster born. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the NHL lockout. It's coming, folks. It's going to happen. It's just the way it's going to be. No deal is going to be made by September 15th, I don't think, and it's probably not going to happen. Everybody else or NHL analysts, like the guys on TSN, don't think it's going to happen. Both sides are way off. There's too much money involved. The players want a little bit much. Owners want to reduce the pay, like every good employee boss situation. Employee wants more, boss wants to pay less. It's just the way it goes. No deal is in the immediate future, and it's probably not going to happen for a while. See the lockout probably going to happen first, and then a deal made afterwards, if it ever gets made. I'm hoping we don't miss another season, and I hope that you're thinking the same, but you never know in this kind of situation. It's just the way it goes. There were supposed to be 2 meetings this week, but both were short meetings. Instead of having all the NHL owners and NHL players there, it was just Bettman and Fair and a couple other people fighting and battling it out, trying to tell what was going on and what everyone was planning. They were only a couple hours long instead of whole day sessions, and they've postponed it till next week to continue talks. So again, they're way off. Nothing's going to happen in the immediate future. Expect big things maybe after the lockouts happen, but lockout's coming. Lockout is coming. There will be a strike. So a little bit of a housekeeping update here. Next week I will not be having an episode, seeing as next week is week 4 of the NFL preseason. Unless some big news happens, I will not be having an episode. Other than that, leading up into the NFL season, I will be having an NFL preview for each division, who I think is going to get first, who I think is going to get second, who I think is going to get third and fourth. All that going to be sent out for each division. Also saying who I think is going to get the wild card spots, as well who is going to make the AFC Championship game in each of the playoffs, and who I think is going to be the Super Bowl winner of it all. Other than that, there will not be an episode next week unless there is some big news. So getting off of that, this week's my picks of the week. Last week I went a little dry, went 0 for 3, but you're going to have your good weeks and your bad weeks. This week I am going with Edmonton losing to Toronto. Ricky Ray's going to have a big game against his former team in Toronto. Corey Boyd's going to do nothing again, even though I predicted that he would do something last week. He won't do anything this week. It will be a domination for the Toronto Argonauts. Calgary will continue their domination over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have won 5 straight over the Riders, and I can see that continuing. I'm a Calgary fan. Of course, I'm going to pick Calgary, but I am confident in this one. Unlike last week with the Argos, where we got a little bit of behind, Calgary will win this game over Saskatchewan and extend it to 6 in a row. Mark it, Rider fans. And lastly, Friday Night Football. BC will beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Joey Elliott's going to come back to reality. He's a backup quarterback. Always will be a backup quarterback. Winnipeg's got a bad quarterback situation, and it's just going to get worse. So my plans for this week was to give my predictions for the UFC 151 card going down on September 1st, seeing as I'm not going to have an episode next week. But the news today came out that Dan Henderson had strained his MCL and will not be able to compete on the card against John Jones. And seeing as John Jones did not want to face Chael Sonnen as a backup opponent, we will not be having a UFC 151 September 1st in Las Vegas, Nevada. Instead, there will be no card that weekend, as the card has been canceled. It's kind of a bad thing, seeing for the other fighters that are on the undercard, the preliminary card, underneath the main event kind of thing, seeing as they have to feed their families and stuff, and now they don't get that opportunity, seeing as the card will not go on. It's kind of a good thing, as the main event will get moved to UFC 152, but instead of Henderson, it will be Lyoto Machida. 152 in Toronto. We are going to have a great card there, and it's going to be great. I will preview in that show when it comes up to that weekend. But now the main event is UFC 152, Jones versus Machida. It's going to be a great main event. The last time they were in Toronto for UFC 140, Jones faced Machida there as well. Jones choked out Machida in the second round, sent Machida face first into the mat. I watched that fight. Jones kind of came out slow in the first round and totally dominated Machida in the second round, leading to his victory. With that, Jon Jones is kind of looking like a bitch in this situation. He backed out of a fight against Chael Sonnen after Chael Sonnen's been talking crap about him like he has against Anderson Silva in the past. Chael Sonnen just moved up to 205 and is now looking for a title shot. He's first going to go through Forrest Griffin, is what Dana White first said it. But now that Henderson went down and Jones did not want to fight him, Chael Sonnen looks like the good guy, and Jon Jones looks like an even bad guy. Even after his DUI thing, this is going to cost him more and more and more fans. I could see Lyoto Machida getting cheered coming out of this fight, and Jon Jones possibly getting booed. It's weird to say that, but it might happen. Jon Jones is a great fighter, but you look like a bitch backing down from Chael Sonnen. Anderson Silva is the pound-for-pound king, and you're ranked number 2, and you will not face a guy that Anderson Silva has fought 2 times. You're looking like a number 3, number 4 pound-for-pound fighter because you won't take out a guy that has lost to the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter. You just got to go on. I know you can't force guys to fight, but you got to do what you got to do. Instead, the card will be at 152. UFC 151 will now be known as the canceled card, and UFC 152 will be same name as 152. 151 will just not exist. Kind of a weird thing to say, kind of takes out the lineage, but 151, the canceled card. Last thing I want to talk about in this episode is fantasy football. A lot of people are having their drafts this weekend. I know I've talked to a couple people that are having their drafts this week. I had my draft with a bunch of my buddies last week. Went off pretty smooth for the first couple picks, and once we were doing it on a computer, it kind of got a little bit of a shit show as we went on, but that goes how it goes. Still fun, got to hang out with some buddies. Guy dropping one-liners all night. It was a great time to be there with a bunch of good guys, so that coming up. That was my last week. But this week, a lot of people are going into their drafts before week 4, drafting their players. So I thought I'd give my kind of advice on what to expect and what you should do on my kind of what you should do and kind of the strategy that I use. So first things first, you gotta know what your league's based around. You gotta know the point systems. You gotta know how to do what counts for what, and how many guys can start at each position. If you get 3 quarterbacks, if you can get 2 quarterbacks, if only one of those quarterbacks is starting. If you get 4 running backs and 2 are starting, 3 are starting, whatever it is, if you have a flex player, you're always going to have 1 starting defense, 1 starting kicker, and then the tight end situation, whatever you got there. Got to know how many guys you got to draft in each position and kind of base yourself around that. Secondly, you got to do some research. You can't just go in there blindly and say, I want that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. Have an idea of what your team and what you want your team to be. Have a strategy, kind of have an idea of what you want to be. If you want to be a high-octane offense, believing in your quarterback and your receivers, draft that. If you want to be a running back, dude, get your running back. If your league's surrounding around kick returners, get a bunch of kick returners on your team. That's what's going to put you ahead in your division and what's going to make you win. So to get to my strategy this year surrounded a lot around getting the feature backs instead of the handcuff backs. And that's something you should worry about too. Feature backs is when you've got a feature back that's going to get the guy that's going to get the ball behind the quarterback at least 30 times or more. He's going to get the ball 60% of the time compared to a guy that's going to come in on a second or third down that might get the ball maybe 30% of the time. These guys are going to handle the most load and going to keep going for you. Don't grab a guy that's going to only get 50% of the touches. It's nice to have once in a while, but you're going to want guys that are going to be your feature backs and stuff like that. Your feature backs in this division or that are most known: Ray Rice, LaShawn McCoy, Darren McFadden, Arian Foster, Darren McFadden, I said that already, Steven Jackson, Maurice Jones-Drew. Those kind of guys are your big things that you want to go after. Try and stay away from the handcuff backs until the later rounds, but graft handcuff backs where you need to. So like Matt Forte and Michael Bush in Chicago, Charles and Hillis in Kansas City. You got Stewart and Williams, the best known handcuff back in Carolina, and Jackson and Spiller in Buffalo. Those are the handcuff backs. Try and stay away from them if you can, But try and grab the feature backs, but you never can go wrong with a running back. You don't know what kind of life they're going to have this year. Looking at Adrian Peterson is a good one. Jackson from last year, that's why him and Spiller are going to be handcuff backs this year. Seeing as Spiller came in and dominated the league just like Jackson was doing at the time in Buffalo. 4. Kicker and defenses. Try and stay away from them until the later rounds. Kickers are expendable. Expendable is the main thing. You can have a kicker go 0 for 6 one week and 1 for 3 the next week. Some team's not going to keep him around. There's no way you want a guy that's going 1 for 9. I know I'm going a little bit extreme with this, but you're not going to have a guy that's going to be kicking all the time and getting points for you all the time. Kicking is a minor score on your thing. 1 point for extra points. Matters how your thing is set up, but usually it's 1 point for extra points and then points for how long the field goal is. You're not going to get a big chunk of points from these guys. Draft your kickers in the later rounds. They are expendable. They mean nothing to you. That goes same with defenses. Yeah, you might have a strong defense, but any defense can put up good sacks once every week. Same with interceptions. Quarterback could have a bad week and give up 6 interceptions to a bad defense, but he still gave it up to a bad defense. Defenses are another thing that are expendable. Try and draft them in the later rounds unless it's your league is kind of whack how mine was, and defenses were going in the 6th round, 7th round, which was kind of weird, but it's the way things goes. Finally, always keep an eye on the free agency. Be a Viking. Pillage the fuck out of that shit. It is a great thing to keep. You might have a guy that doesn't put up any numbers at all in your first 2 weeks, and there might be a guy on the waiver roster that's putting up mad numbers. Grab him. Grab him. It's the best way that you're going to get a win in your league. You never sure it's going to be up against matchups and different things like that. 1 week your guy might be up against the Denver Broncos defense, and the next week he's up against the bad defense, the Indianapolis Colts. They're up against them. You're going to have different matchups. You're going to have slow weekends and strong weekends. But that's all about fantasy football is about. It's about getting the best matchups possible for each of your players. It's the way it goes, and it's the things that are going to make you win. So something that's been brought to my attention is that the Lloydminster Vandals Football Club here in Lloyd has the right to play nationals here in Lloyd. But due to a lack of a football field and change rooms, they will not be able to play that game here in Lloyd. And it might go somewhere else. That is something that it just feels wrong. Seeing as they have won the right to play that game here, should be played here in front of the fans, in front of the family, in front of the friends. I have a couple friends and some coaches that play on that team, and I would love to see them win that national title here in Lloyd. Let's get this done, Lloydminster. Let everyone know. Let as many people as you can, even across Canada. I want this game here in Lloyd, and it would be great to have these boys win this game here in Lloyd. Let's do this, Canada. Let's do this, Lloydminster. Let's get the Lloydminster Vandals football team national title game here in Lloyd. Well, that's the end of this Sports Talks, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a like if you wish to. Subscribe is the main thing. I want to try and get as many subscribers as I can. Leave a comment. I will be answering all comments related to this episode. Leave a suggestion for a story that I should cover in a future episode. And if you want to promote a sports event in your town that I think that I might be able to bring to the forefront, put that below. I'll try and do my best to get it on in a future episode. So again, next week there will be no episode. Look forward to the 6-7 part episode the week before the NFL season starts, where I preview everything NFL. I will go through every division, every playoff matchup, all my way to the Super Bowl champions. Look forward to that. Please leave a comment, give a like, and subscribe. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy, Coach Kevin Sywenky, signing out.